Hi, Craig. Welcome back to the Free Speech Cage.
Good morning, Max. Good to be here again.
So, today, of course, we're going to talk about the government shutdown, and I'm probably going to throw a couple of curveballs at you. Anyway, but first, I want to get your immediate take.
So the government is still shut down because it's a complicated process to get it back running again. But the eight Democrats, well, including Senator King, that sort of crossed the aisle to support Republicans in getting the money flowing through the end of January indicates that the government will be funded shortly. And a lot of Democrats are screaming foul. I think part of it is generational. I think part of it is absolutely no trust in Trump and his regime. So it's not sure what's going to happen here, but this was the first step down a very uncertain road.
Right. Okay. So, I'm just going to throw my curveball out right away. When I watched Park Rose Permaculture, whatever, she was very emotional about it. And I was feeling very emotional too because I was very upset. But then I reminded myself, well, wait, I always say this about the Democrats and the Republicans. They're all the same people. They tell different messaging, but they all really do what their large donors tell them to do. And I'm not going to go into that right this second, but basically, what did I expect? I mean, this is actually definitely what I expected. When people say, oh, well, they did wrong things, we have to call them, like, how many times do they have to screw you? I mean, this is why I don't vote most of the time, because I never get a candidate that I believe is going to do anything for me. So now I'm like, I don't care. I mean, what else did I expect? I think this is exactly what was always coming down the line from day one.
Well, I think you find a lot of people agree with you, Max. And I think the question isn't whether they would fold or whether they're all sort of in the same mindset, but why at this particular moment in time did these people cross over? There's no surprise that none of these left leaning senators are not up. None of them are up for reelection of any sort in 11 months and change. That just doesn't happen randomly. Anyone that knows statistics is going to say no. So someone was thinking about this. And so if we knew why they did it, if we knew what the ultimate plan of the Democrats was, maybe they're really worried about civil unrest this time of year and would push things too far. Maybe they really just didn't want to interfere with their donors and families of donors and so forth being able to fly home for Christmas or Thanksgiving. I don't know what they did, but clearly there's a secondary story exactly like what you're talking about.
Right. I mean, I saw somebody talk about that. What's happened is that basically most of the Democrats want to agree to this deal, but they pick the ones that aren't up for reelection to basically break ranks and do it. But they actually all want this deal, all the Democrats, or not all of them, but just most of them. So I mean, what do you think about that theory?
I think there's a lot to be said for it. It's easy for someone to say, I voted no, when you know that things going to pass. How many would have said it is worth keeping the government shut down? It's worth not having people getting their SNAP benefits. It's worth having air traffic control just completely stop travel or mess it up. It to make this point, I don't know, but I mean, Democrats blinked. And if you look back at people blinking in the face of authoritarian governments, it never ends well, ever.
Right. Okay. But this is now my curveball take. I think if you look around the world, if you look in England, you look at France, all of Europe, the world is undergoing intense inflationary pressures, and just like very high level. To me, you have two economies. You have the top 20% wealth in the world economy, including the oligarchs, so to speak, and you have everybody else 80%. So the people who do wealth, they spend money. They build office towers that are half empty. It doesn't make a difference. They just take money and they spend it on whatever they want. Everybody else has to spend money on what they need. And what they've finding out in the past few years is that the ones at the top, they're like, oh my God, we're running out of money because the uh, things are just too expensive because of whatever reason, right? So they could either be like, okay, well, we're running out of money, we're going to distribute it more evenly to other people, right? Or we're going to stay in power and keep doing what we want. And I don't think it's like they're being malicious or they need to have tons of money and power. I don't go with that narrative. They're just like, well, we need to basically run our finances the way we
It's what
always
they know
run
how
them.
to do.
Right, right. So the because they're doing that, um, so when France tried to change their pension system, right, to deal with this new reality of just there just isn't enough money or resources to deal with it, they were basically beat down completely, and they had to basically walk it
And we're
back.
not far behind France, Max. You won't find hardly any municipality or state government or anyone in the world that has a fully funded pension system.
Right,
So
but like
unfunded liabilities are massive in America.
right, but leaving that thing aside, I mean, again, something definitely to talk about. But so what I see going on is that because, and this is always the problem with politics, right? Because the Democrats can't go to people and say, hey, listen, we're going to have to cut some people in government. We're going to have to cut some SNAP benefits because we just can't afford it. And again, I agree that that might be a nonsense argument. Again, this is a selfish argument. But because they won't do that, they have to buy into the Republican thing. They have to basically abdicate their vote to them, just like the Congress and Senate abdicate everything to the president when it comes to war because they don't want to take responsibility. Because nobody wants to take responsibility, they're just going to have to do a cut everything thing, and people get into it. So that's sort of what I'm upset about. Like the media should say, "Hey, listen, there actually is a big issue here. What can we afford? Who gets money? Who gets resources? What are we going to do? We are actually in an economic bind here, and unless we can talk about reasonably, we're just going to have both parties give their sort of take on it, which are both false, and this is where we're going to be in doing
Well, I
things the
think
wrong way."
you're missing a big point, which Democrats sort of harp on. Whether they do it with really real sincerity or not, it's questionable sometimes. But there is a lot of money out there that's privatized, a lot of wealth that's privatized, and certainly the Trump regime's big beautiful bill privatized more of that wealth. So no one's going to do any of this stuff for free, whether it's SNAP benefits or air traffic control. They're doing it. They're not getting paid. Hopefully they'll get paid in the future. But eventually folks just stop doing work if they're not getting paid. And if there's no money in the system, they will stop doing work. And I think that's the big difference is Republicans don't want a government. And the way you don't get a government is you take all the money away. And they took it away and they gave it to people. They probably would have been almost as happy burning it, but instead they give it to Elon Musk or whoever they give it to. And now the money's not there to fund government. And that is the goal of the Republican Party is to get rid of government as we know it.
Yeah, and I agree, but I think that the Democrats are also on board and getting rid of that government, getting rid of that money spent too, because their donors don't want it spent. So I think they're both in agreement on that, actually. Not in getting rid. So that's what I'm saying. Like I think that the sort of canard that the Republicans want to get rid of government is somewhat true, but the real issue here is not about getting rid of government, but getting rid of a lot of expenses, like the top 20% wealthy just do not want all this money going down to the 80%.
They don't. And by the way, I and most of the people I know are in that top 20%. We're sort of the bourgeoisie of the French Revolution. There are a lot of people who are closer to the bone. And who am I to say we should have waited out the SNAP benefits and these other things that were hurting people? Because I'm not particularly feeling the pain. I'm scared, but not feeling the pain in the way that someone that can't pay their bills is. Uh, but still, we get back to the Democrats blinked. And why did they blink? And they're doing a horrible job of explaining why they blinked. And anyone with brains and the ability to count, as you just pointed out, knows that these people just didn't magically surface and vote to fund the government through January 30th. They self-selected, they were handpicked, whatever it might be. And that's the message I think people are really looking at. And I think that's the message you're ultimately saying, which is this didn't just happen. This was a coordinated two-party decision to sort of keep the status quo. And if the status quo isn't working, then why care which party is doing whatever if they're both eager to keep the status quo?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think you're right. So I think in the interest of time, we should probably break right here. But I think this is the first, because I think this is a very deep subject. We can talk about many aspects of it going forward.
All right. I look forward to it.